again, Maverick traders. Welcome out to your currency recap for April 29th. Corey here with you, and so nice to be with you. We're always going to take a look at meaningful news, any rotations that are happening out of currencies into other currencies, out of one crypto and into another, or just what the general trends are. And then we're going to highlight our very best ideas, be that crypto trades, forex trades, whatever we can identify.
Disclaimer. This video was created for professional forex and crypto traders. Maverick Currencies is a proprietary trading firm that employs professional traders around the world. Our traders trade firm capital and keep 70 to 80% of profits they generate. All trades and analysis in this video are for professional traders only. If you are interested in becoming a professional forex and currency trader for Maverick, click the apply button in the video description. Let's break down what happened today.
So markets generally had a bit of a sideways day, although there were some really interesting moves and movement. So as we look at equities, basically flat. German inflation came in at plus 0.5%. Now that's a little hot. I mean, you annualize that. If you're up 0.5% for 12 months in a row, you'd have a 6% annualized inflation. So, but it was lower than markets anticipated. They were expected to have inflation at 0.6 for the month, so a little bit lower than anticipated. And then Tesla was up sharply. They passed a key hurdle in China on getting some automated driving or assisted driving technology done there. So Tesla up big on that news. But as we look at currencies, it was really interesting the reversals that took place. Now, we've been watching the Japanese yen cascading lower, just no end in sight, horrific downward moves, back to levels we haven't seen in decades, and it just looks like there's no end. And of course, everyone's rumbling about, will the Bank of Japan step in? Will they not? Will they try to intervene in these currency markets? And we know that intervention from central banks is just a losing proposition, and they should know that as well. History shows it just doesn't work long term. So rightly so, they've kind of stayed out of it. But key reversal today. You've been plummeting, and it just really looks like an exhaustive low. And then some of these other markets moving on the back of that as well. Crypto down about 2%, oil down 1%. Commodities have given some ground here recently. We talked last week about the reversal in gold, in oil, in crypto. These areas of the market which had been leadership the last couple of weeks, they've really rolled over, and now I could say we're in more of a bearish environment, a little bit more downward trending type of mode. If you look at cryptos generally, Ethereum had a particularly bad day today, down 3%, but pretty much selling across the board. Now, as we look at our market outlook, we're at this key level. We're below the 20, below the 50, and you just look at this chart. We just had a bearish crossover. That's when the 20 crosses below the 50. You can see that the 20 is downward sloping. The 50 is more flattening out, but the 20 is downward sloping, and we're right into that level. So this is a key area where if we reverse hard, of course it's bearish. If we break higher, I'd call it neutral. I wouldn't really go full on bullish. I'd call it neutral if we go higher, because I don't think we just get carried away to the upside. There's much more risk, I feel like, to the downside. So that's the way I'm looking at this environment is if we break higher, there's a little bit more upside, and then we chop around. And my guess is that eventually we succumb to some of the pressure and we trade back down anyway, but it would be more of a non-starter in terms of initiating that next big bearish run. On the calendar, you can see the big event this week is the FOMC on Wednesday. So the Fed, of course, they're not going to do anything with rates, but everyone is on edge. Will the Fed cut this year? How many rate cuts can we expect? Any guidance they give, any changes in the statement will be dissected by market participants. We've got non-farm payrolls on Friday here in the U.S., which is one of the driving forces behind what the Fed does in the future. And certainly, if jobs numbers come in super strong, that can be seen as good news, bad price action, because the Fed would be that much less likely to start cutting rates if the economy is still chugging along very nicely. Now, Here's how I would stack up the currencies, and where you saw a big reversal in the yen, it looks like an exhaustion low. I'd have to remove that from the bearish list. CAD looks really bad today. It's a nasty reversal. US dollar doesn't look great either, but that's where some pockets of weakness have occurred that bear some watching. And I'm going to take a closer look at the CAD chart specifically. So possible ideas. Let's jump over and look at a few of these charts together. All right, so I want to start with the reversal in the yen. You can see just deterioration. This is a daily chart. We broke this line of support and it was relentless selling. And then look at this big expanded range bearish candle. That's what I would call the punctuation mark, the big exclamation point to end this downward move. And then look at the reversal today. So this type of volatility, it should happen near breakout points and exhaustive points. And exhaustions usually happen when you're extended in trend, when you're extended in range, when the volatility ramps up and so forth. It has all the classic signs of an exhaustion low. And that doesn't mean there's a lot of upside, but it means that the downside is now stalled and we should chop around here. And what do you do when you get exhausted? You rest, and that's what the Japanese yen should do here. But just as the yen is reversing higher, we see the US dollar not able to bounce, not able to hold this attempted pivot low, and looks like it wants to trade in a bit further. Looks like it wants to trade down for the next few days. Swiss franc, I'd call it more of a neutral. Euro, again, kind of choppy and ugly, volatile trading session. British pound is a stronger of the two, so if you want to trade that space, I prefer the British pound. I wanted to spend some time on CAD though, because this one to me looks the worst. We basically made a new high and then closed at a new, multi-day low, and it's just a big bearish engulfing candle. The candle engulfs the prior few days bullish trading environment, big uptick in volumes and such. Looks like we're exhausted on the high. So I would put the CAD, which has been so strong, and the yen, which has been so weak, as basically counterparties. The exhaustion low in the yen looks like it wants to stop going down. The exhaustion high in the CAD looks like it wants to stop going up. And I'd bet on them both kind of being choppy, sideways, hard to trade here in the short term. Australian dollar still looks better than most. New Zealand dollar starting to show some new signs of strength. So we are getting a little bit of a reversal into these more beaten down currencies, which have finally started to get their heads above water. Let's look at crypto here. Bitcoin, that's a downtrend, my friends. Downward slope, downward trend. Bitcoin Cash, you could say even worse, basically at new lows. Ethereum rolling over as well, still in a downtrend. See the downward sloping moving averages. And Litecoin, same thing. We've been in a little bit of an up correction, but still in a downward trend overall. So as I see it, some of these key reversals need to be respected, and we have to look elsewhere, I think, in terms of opportunity. We can't keep pressing CAD to the upside. I think it's exhausted that way. We can't keep pressing Japanese yen shorts. I think that's made an exhaustion low, and it should be a more choppy environment. So look at some of these new pockets of strength. I think the Aussie and the Kiwi are worth watching for possible upside. So equities are at that key level like we talked about, the 2050 crossover, that bearish move. The Fed meeting is going to have a lot to say about the direction of the markets here for this week. Continue to play that relative strength, relative weakness game, and use proper position sizing, use good risk management. That's going to get you through, even though we're in a choppy environment for the Forex markets. Hope you enjoyed this currency recap. Have a great week, everyone. See you next time.